So my first step is I rolled the blue into a ball. So you can just do this with your hands by moving them in a circle or on the table, moving in a circle. So apply some pressure, press down a little bit, and you'll soon get a ball. So like I said, her body is kind of in the shape of a cone. So we need one part kind of in a point, and the base is the widest part. So what we can do is kind of just pinch up here. So see how it's kind of getting narrower at the top? So let's start to pinch the top a little bit, making her body into, well, it kind of looks like a raindrop right now, but we're getting there. Okay, and we want to make sure that the base is flat. Right now it's pretty round, so she won't really stand. She'll just tip over. So let's use our thumb and press the bottom to make it flat. You can also do this on the table. And now she has a flat bottom. Keep reshaping. Want to make her a little bit taller. She's pretty short. Okay. Just keep pinching. She'll grow taller and taller. Okay, I have a pretty good cone shape here. Make sure there is a flat bottom. So use the table or your thumb. So there is her body. I'm gonna move this a little bit. All right, here's Mary's body. Let's go ahead and make her little sleeves. So we have this extra blue here. Let's break that into two because we need 2 sleeves. Mold it, warm it up, and let's roll it into a ball. I'll do this in my hands. Okay, now we have 2 balls. So we want this to be in sort of a teardrop shape. So let's go ahead and do it like this. What we'll do is we can roll it out with 2 fingers, back and forth, into sort of a tube shape like this. So we want one side to be very pointed. So what we'll do is we'll pinch one side. Okay, so we have a pointy side and just a flat side. This will be where her hand comes out of her sleeve. So now what we'll do is we will stick this on the side of her body, just like that. And you can press in on the side to make it stick. And she's gonna have her hands folded like she's praying. So I wanna curve her arm, if I turn it sideways, I wanna curve it up a little bit. And I can press to stick it, and there we have one of her arms. Let's start on the next arm. Same thing here. Let's roll it out with our fingers. Just a little bit, so we have a nice log stick, and we'll pinch one side. I'm gonna pinch the side that was kind of messier. This one looks really nice. So I'll pinch one side into a point. You can hold it up to measure, make sure it's about the same, and I'll stick it on the side of the body. Try and match them up. So if you hold it backwards, you can see where your other one was. Try and match it up. And we'll bring her hands, curving that one over there, into a praying position. Okay, so we have her sleeves, her arms. So let's go ahead and work on her head and hands. So we'll grab our beige clay. Okay, we're gonna need to use beige for Joseph, Mary, and baby Jesus. So let's break it into 3 parts right now. 2 that are the same roughly for Mary and Joseph's head, and 1 little bitty one for Jesus's head. Doesn't have to be that big. Okay, we'll warm these up and roll them into a ball. You want to make sure you don't have any folds in your ball. This one kind of has a wrinkle right there. We want to make sure there's no wrinkles. So you can even use your fingers to mesh it together. Okay, so here I have a little ball, and I want it to go right on top of her neck. So right up here. So if you notice, that looks pretty silly. So what I can do is I can use my tools and I can shorten her neck, or I can move her arms up. I think I'm gonna move her arms up. And it's okay if you make a mistake like this. Clay is really cool because you can take it off and reposition it where you really want it to be. Okay, so there, I moved it up a bit, and I can restick her head back on. Reshape a little bit, and there I have her head. All right, let's use our remaining beige for her hands. So I'm just gonna take a little bit, not very much. I'm gonna split it into 2. And I'm gonna roll these into, these are gonna be her hands. And I'm just gonna make them circles. I don't wanna get too complicated here. So I have 2 circles, and I will just stick them on the ends of her sleeves. If they're too big, just peel some off and put it to the side. So I'm pressing her hands together so they're kind of in a praying position. Okay. There I have her hands. All right, so our next step is to make her hair and her head covering. So I'm gonna use brown for her hair, and I'm gonna use white for her head covering. So let's get some brown, or if you wanna make her hair a different color that you have, go ahead. I'm gonna use brown. Not very much, because her head's pretty small. All I have to do is cover the top of her head. So I'll get some brown. And I'll roll it into a ball. Like this. And this part's pretty fun, because what I will want to do is make it into, you know how you roll the cookie dough out? You want to roll this out into a flat piece. So let me grab a flat tool. You can use a rolling pin or a pen or a cup even. I'm going to use a glass cup because it's big and flat. And I'm just going to roll it back and forth. I want it pretty thin. So you notice when I roll it out, it makes a really flat looking shape. I want it a little more flat than that. So I'm going to press harder. And now it's much thinner and much bigger. So I want her hair, this is all you can see is her hairline. So just the front part of her hair. So if I grab my tools, those little yellow tools in your bag, like this, go ahead and get out the one that has a sharp tip to it, like this. Okay, and we are going to cut this piece. So how I want to cut it, I'll move this up so you can see better. How we're going to cut it is just in a V shape. So all we want to do, we can even trace it first so we get it right, is to make a little V shape on the top. Okay, so I just made a V, and I can just drag my tool or make dots to cut it. Okay, and it's a little messy. What you can do is use your tool to press to squish it back the way you want it. All right, so we have this V shape here. And we want this to be her hairline. So what we'll do here is place it on her head. And remember, we're not going to see the back of her head hardly at all. So we're going to roll this around on her head. And now she has a hairline. We're not going to be able to see any of this weird stuff because we're going to cover it. What you can do now is use your tool and make it look like hair. So add some lines to make it look like hair is coming down. Okay, let's work on the last step and then we'll do her face. So I want to make her head covering. It's like a cloak hanging over her head and down part of her back. So I'm going to use white for this. Grab some white and squish it up, make it soft. And we're going to use the same technique we just used for her hair. We're going to roll it, make it into a ball, and roll it out into a flat circle. So once I get it pretty soft, I'll roll it into a ball, like so. And I will use my cup, best thing I could find, and I'll roll it flat. I want this one even thinner than the hair. It kind of sticks a little bit. But even that is a little thick, so I'll keep going. I want it to be pretty much a circle. It's okay if it's not perfect. So there I have a pretty thin piece of clay. I think that's pretty good. You want to make sure it's thick, the same thickness all the way around. So if it feels really wide over here, roll it out some more. If it's really thin over here, you might need to refold it and try it again. So I want her cloak to go over her head, but not quite covering her hairline. So what I'll do here is wrap it over. I'm going to roll it up a tiny bit more. Okay, gently peel it. And I will lay it over her head like that. And it will drape around her head and around her back. You can press it down and make it fold a little bit. And now she's wearing a head covering. I made mine really big on accident. So you notice it goes under her. I can use a knife or a tool and cut right across if I want. I might do that now. Okay, I cut the bottom. So now she can stand with her covering. So I might want to do her eyes next, and then we'll move on to Joseph. I'm going to use brown for her eyes. You can use black too if you want. All I'm going to do is grab two little tiny pieces and roll them into balls for her eyes. So take two. Sometimes you have to do this in your fingers, rolling it like moving your fingers in a circular motion. Okay, so I have one ball and I have the other one. So let's go ahead and stick these on. Oh, I might want to flatten them out first, so I just use my thumb and press slightly and make them into flat circles. This sticks better and looks cute. So I'll stick them on. I'm gonna make them a bit smaller. And if you want to add some more detail, do the same thing I did with white. Use a smaller piece and you can make her pupil if you want to add some extra detail. So just get a little bit of white, roll it into a ball, squish it down, and put it in the center of her brown or black eye, and it will make her eyes look in a certain direction. Okay. Okay, so there's Mary. And let's move on to Joseph. So I'm gonna make Joseph's outfit, his clothes, his body in orange. So go ahead and grab your orange. If you want him to wear a different color, that's okay, you can do that. And I'm gonna do the same thing as Mary's cloak. So I'm gonna take off a little bit for the sleeves. Okay, I'll leave that to the side. And I will use the rest of it to make a ball. So roll it into a ball. And we're gonna make that same cone shape as we did for Mary. So I have my ball here. It's not perfect, but it's all right. And I will start to make my cone. So we want Joseph to be a bit taller than Mary. So let's go ahead and start pinching up here. Up top here to make it into our cone shape. Make sure when you're changing from dark to light colors, you either wipe your hands off or you wash your hands, because if you notice, my orange is starting to get some brown in it, starting to turn darker, because I just used brown for Mary's hair and eyes. So make sure you wash your hands. Okay, make sure you have a flat bottom. So press it on the table or on with your thumb. And we have another body. We'll put that to the side. Let's take our remaining orange and make 2 balls out of the orange, and we'll use this for his arms. So I have 1 orange ball. And 2. So let's roll these into perfect round balls. And we're going to use the same method where we roll it out on the table. Back and forth, back and forth. Okay? If you have too much, don't be afraid to take some off and roll it out again. There's 1. And there is 2. Make sure they're sort of the same length, and we'll pinch one side, just like Mary, and pinch the other. And let's stick them on our body. So remember to make it up high near the top of the neck, and we'll curve it up just like that, and we'll do the same for the other. So you can line them up on the back if you want. It's going to be covered by the cloak anyway, so you won't see it. And we will curve it up like this. So there are Joseph's sleeves. Let's go ahead and make the hands and face. So we have some beige left over. Let's grab some we have for his hands and face. So take some beige, enough for a head, and roll it into a circle. Okay, here I have my ball, and I will just stick it right on top, just like we did before. Right on top of the body. Kind of got to squish it and twist it, but you can reshape it with your fingers. So there I have Joseph's head. I'll use the other two beige pieces to make his hands. All they are is two circles. So roll them into balls. One and two. I will do the same thing here. I'll stick them right on the ends of his sleeves. You can squish them down a bit if you want, and press them together, like so. Okay, there I have Joseph's body and hands. Let's go ahead and make his beard. So he has a beard, and we'll take some brown to make this. Just need a little bit, not too much. And what we'll do is roll it up into a ball. Like so. I'll move him over here. What we should do is roll it out like we did before. So use a round object, a pen or a cup or a rolling pin, really flat. Okay, have it really flat. And I will use a tool to cut it into a half circle shape. So I'll use this tool here, and I want it in like a crescent moon sort of shape. So I'll show you what I mean in 1 second. So here I've got sort of a half moon or C shape. So here's my Joseph. I want to put it on his face. I can even tuck it under his arms like that. Okay. Now I made mine kind of big. I should have made it a little smaller, but in the end it's gonna be all right. So there's his beard. We need to make his head covering. So let's do that now. I'm gonna use white again, just because I have it out. You can use any color you want for this. So grab some of your chosen color. Remember, massage it and roll it into a ball. And his is actually in two parts. So I will grab just a little bit of white at first to make the top. So he has sort of a circle on top and then a cloak that rolls down the back, his back. Okay, so I'll take my ball right there, and I'll roll it out into a circle with my tool. So I don't want my circle too wide. I want it to be pretty small, like the size of maybe a nickel or maybe a little smaller than a quarter. I made mine too big. I'm gonna try one more time. Okay, not too big, like so. And this one will go right on top of his head. So we want it to kind of wrinkle. So what we can do is make pinching marks to make it wrinkle and fit around his head. We can rotate and pinch and pinch and pinch again. Okay, so that's the top. And we will make the cloak coming down the back. So same process, grab some white or whatever color you want into a ball and roll it out. This one needs to be a lot bigger. So we have our flat circle. And I made a mistake here. I want to take this off if you can. And we have to put this one underneath, actually. So I don't even barely want it on the top of his head. And I want to drape it down around his back. I can tuck it in a little bit. Okay, and it kind of wrinkles on its own if you press it down. All right, now let's put on the top, the circle, the little circle. We'll put that back on top. Okay. Now we have our little Joseph there. All right, we have two more things left to do for Joseph. We need to make his eyes, and we need to make a little swirly thing that goes on top of his head. So take a little brown, make two tiny circles like before, and we'll stick them right on his face for his eyes. All right, so there is our Joseph. Okay, and our last step for this video is to make baby Jesus. So grab your last beige piece, and I want everyone to roll it into a ball for the head. Okay, so here's my beige. Roll it into a ball. Here will be Jesus's head. I need to make him have a body so I can wrap a blanket around. So I'm gonna grab some white or whatever color you don't think you're gonna use. Okay, I'm just gonna use white. And all I'm gonna do is make it into a ball. And all I need it for, we're not actually gonna see this, is to wrap the blanket around. So I'm gonna just roll it into a log, sort of, and stick it on like it's a body. All right, so I'm gonna use this fancy gold because it feels right. And I will roll this. I'll probably just take about half. Roll it into a ball, and we're gonna use our rolling pin or pen or cup to roll it out into a flat circle to wrap around Jesus as a blanket. Okay, so here is my flat circle, and let's test it out. It might not work first try, but that's okay. So we'll put them in like this, and we'll wrap it around the front. So mine actually rolled perfectly. If yours is too small, take it off and roll it out more so it's a little bit more thin. So I'm just gonna tuck in the bottom here. Okay, you can tuck it in or you can cut it off. And now we have a little baby in a blanket. All right, so if you want to, we can make a little basket for him to be in. So I'm just gonna take whatever brown I have left, and we're just gonna make a little square for him to lie in. So roll your brown into a ball. Like so. And we'll make it into a square. So you can just pinch to make it kind of into a flat piece. You want to make sure he'll fit inside. So right now, looks like too small. So I need to keep pressing. I'll measure again. A little bit more would be best. Okay. So now he should fit inside just perfectly. That looks awesome. What I can do if I want to, if you have any more beige or any nice colors that you like, you can make some straw to go around him. So I'll show you an example. If you take a little bit of brown or beige or something, what you can do if you don't have any beige left, mix brown with some white to make it lighter. I would take a little piece and roll it out super thin into a really thin stick here. And I can use my tool to cut it into pieces like straw. And I can place it around him like it's straw coming out of underneath. And I can do that as much as I want. I can keep going around, or you don't have to do this step at all if you don't want to. So it will look like there's a bunch of straw coming out if you keep going around and doing it. All right, well, why don't I show you guys how to do the hair first too? And you can do the eyes on your own. It's just two little circles right on top of his head. So for the hair, I'm just gonna use gold. You can use brown. I'm just gonna make it into loops. So roll out, make a ball, roll it out like I showed you, back and forth until you get a skinny strip. And I'm just gonna make his hair little and curly. So I'm gonna loop it around like so and press it gently so it makes kind of a loop shape like that. And I'm gonna put 3 of those on top of his head. So there's one, and I'll make 2 more. Here's the second one. And I have a third one. So it looks like he has just a little bit of hair and it's pretty curly. All right. So there we have our nativity scene. You can make some animals if you want to make one of the camels, or, oh my gosh, and you know what? I forgot to make Joseph's little headband. So let's do that now, actually. It's kind of fun. And it's a good technique to know. So take 2 colors you like, any colors. I will use brown and white and gold just because that's what I have. You can take 2 or 3 colors, it's up to you. 3 is harder, 2 is easier. Take 3 colors, not very much, only about that much. We'll roll them into balls. Like so. And we'll roll them flat into a string looking thing. You want to make sure it will wrap all the way around the top of his head, so they kind of have to be long. You can add more clay to it if it's not long enough. So there's 2 and 3. Okay, so here are 3 of my strings over here. And how I will do this is I'll line all 3 up. Okay, line all 3 up. If they're one shorter, it's okay. Just line up on one side, like so. And all I will do is grab the ends and twist. Once they're all lined up perfectly, I'll twist it, and it will make a beautiful braided looking strand of clay. So now what I can do is I can wrap it around the top of his head. So I'll take my beautiful strand and I can wrap it around right on top. And now he has a nice headband. All right, guys, here is the nativity scene. Feel free to add any other details you want or change things up. It's just a basic tutorial. Merry Christmas.